Well, we are live, day 5 in the Sage Circle Alliance's membership drive. I'm so excited. We're on day 5. Soon we'll be saying day 25. But today's focus is going to be all about the heart of this organization, building community and taking action. And I'm excited because I'm here with one of the co founders, Paul Chatlin. And I'm not going to do a lot of the talking, I don't think. I'm going to let Paul do some talking, but I want to start it out with, Paul, a lot of people know you, but a lot of people don't. So with that being said, why don't you tell everyone what's your background? How did we get here where we're in this whole launch campaign for Sage Circle Alliance? I know that everything has a beginning, and your plant-based journey is a real tough story. So start there. Tell us how all of this emerged.
Well, without getting into everything about my sordid but colorful past, I would say that this wasn't even a thought until I had woke up one day with chest pain. I was just like probably most people. I was just enjoying my best life. I was overindulging on everything and but enjoying myself. And you wake up one morning and all of a sudden you really have chest pain, not discomfort, but pain. And you just don't want to walk or move. But then it would go away and I'd conduct my day, and then it would revisit me every single morning and a little bit at night. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? I really, at the onset, didn't put it all together, saying, like I knew something was wrong. We all know when something hurts or something is wrong. But I thought, well, if it went away, then maybe I'll wake up one day and it'll just be gone. But it was just getting worse. So that's when it kind of started. I mean, I could say that, all the males in my family, other than my father, they all died in their 50s, and my dad had quadruple bypass in his 50s. But again, I was just at that point a father of 3 boys, enjoying my life with my beautiful wife and my beautiful dog, and life was beautiful. So that's kind of where it all started. It was started with chest pain, and then all of a sudden, some miracles came my way, and I mean these are real miracles because I was able to get into the Cleveland Clinic much sooner than most people could because my wife's boss was a patient at the Cleveland Clinic, and he made some calls, and I wasn't asking questions. I just knew that a miracle was like the day before I was going to go to my local hospital for a heart catheter. I got an appointment that day before at the Cleveland Clinic. So we just went there, and, it's an amazing heart hospital, and they did all the tests. And I always find kind of interesting, and, it's right behind me, the business card. But you send all your files, and they assign a doctor. In fact, here, I'll just pull it right now real quick. Here it is. My doctor, I never met him before. But his title was Director of Heart Failure Intensive Care Unit, Section of Heart Failure and Cardiac Transplant Medicine. So based on the information that we sent him, they felt as if I probably needed a heart transplant. Now, it's one thing to live in the world of bypass. I mean, there's way too many of them. But when you hear heart transplant, oh my God, that's real serious. So I met him. We went through all the tests, and about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I went and had a heart catheter done. And for whatever it's worth, it's interesting. They could do it through your thigh. That's the normal way. And now they do it through your wrist, which your recovery is about half as much. And I was fortunate they were able to do the heart catheter through my wrist. And I could remember being in twilight. They don't knock you out. They don't keep you 100% awake. They put you somewhere in the middle. And so you can you're groggy. You're really groggy. You're in, you're out. But I kept hearing my doctor going, yes, 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 like he was celebrating something. And as it turns out, he was celebrating that I did not need a heart transplant, but I needed immediate bypass surgery. My right artery was completely blocked and still is today. So, you when you go there and you get a heart catheter, they prep you. On this little side note, I'm always kind of laughing when I tell the story because it was the day I lost my humility. It's
Mm.
part of my life story, but but you go in there and they prep you. And how do they prep you? Four strangers bring out razor blades and shave you from your shoulders down to your knees. Just shave you. I'm like, wow. I'm drugged up. I'm seeing four strangers shaving me. I'm like, and then of course you're drugged up and you look down and you look like a little baby down below. So I was laughing. Okay. I should be like worried, but I was just started laughing. It was just so funny to me. So I'm being wheeled in for bypass, and I get right at that door, second big miracle coming. And he looks at me and he says, "Hey, I've only offered this to one other person in 20 years, but would you be willing to make a lifestyle change? And if you are willing to, then maybe we don't need the surgery." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in. Whatever it is, yes." Because there was so much suffering in all the males in my family. I'm like, I got to change this narrative. And I got three sons. I got to make this different. But little did I know what a lifestyle change meant. I really had no idea what I was getting myself. I just said yes. And it was like, within a couple minutes, he hands me the phone. And who's on the other side? It's Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. Now, keep in mind, I never knew who Caldwell Esselstyn was. I just met my doctor that day. And as it turned out, his mentor in medical school was Caldwell Esselstyn. So he understood about so I got out of their hundreds of cardiologists, I got this one guy whose mentor understood the benefits of whole food plant-based over the standard American diet. And here I am on the phone with this guy I never met, never knew of. And he's like, well, just go on home and I'll talk to you in the morning. Well, by the time they let me go, it was like 1:30 at night because I had to still recover. My beautiful wife said, "What do you want to do? You want to stay here or you want to go home?" I go, "I just want my own bed." So in the pouring rain, she drove home and, I think we got home at 5:30 in the morning. So we got up at 5:30 and we got home at 5:30. And about 2 hours later, Caldwell Esselstyn calls me and starts talking. And then that's just how it all started. And
Wow.
what amazes me always is it's like the day before or 2 days before, I was having steak with eggs and all the fixings. And I weighed 235 pounds, but I was a workoutaholic. So I was, I'm a power lifter. So I was pretty muscular, pretty big. And after my conversation with him, I realized I couldn't eat that food anymore. And my whole family, my whole life was centered around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Snacks, too. I like snacks. Crunchy snacks. Chocolate crunchy snacks.
I get it.
Yeah. So it was like, hey, I always told myself I could do anything for 60 days. I just said, I got to go sit, and the reason why I said 60 days was not only did I have 100% block in my right artery, but I had a left bundle block, a heart murmur, scarsidosis to the right side of the artery, enlarged heart and leaky valves. I was a hot mess. So the only thing they could do is they had to shrink the heart so the valves weren't working so hard. So they put me on bed rest. Well, I'm a pretty hyper dude and I like being busy. And boy, they gave me some drugs where I was sleeping 16 hours a day. I'd wake up and I'm like, man, I'm hungry. Oh, I got to eat vegetables and fruits and beans and whole grains. And back then, this is like 12 years plus, there weren't a lot of cookbooks, so, but I said to myself, whatever it is, I'm going to start eating my vegetables and my fruits. And I really did enjoy that period of time. Not only was I sleeping all the time, but I was eating food I didn't really like. But at 14 days into it, I started noticing a couple things. One is I didn't hate the beans as much. Like I can never say I like them. Even to this day, I don't love them, but I was able to eat them and not be, I hate these things. I was like, my taste buds started to change. And then all of a sudden I realized, wow, I'm starting to lose some weight here. So I just continued that for 60 days. And after 60 days, I had lost 20 pounds. And another amazing thing is my angina, which would be my companion for like, what was it, 3 months? it went away. So I'm like thinking to myself, whoa, this is good stuff here. I'm starting to eat better food. I'm losing weight, and my chest buddy is gone, leaving me. So it was like, I just remember being on that gurney, being wheeled in, and just before he said, "Hey, would you want a lifestyle change? Would you consider it?" I did something that we all do. The old, God, if you get me out of this situation, I'll give something back. Like I said that a lot of times in my life. Very few times did I keep it. This time I said, if you get me out of this one, I will keep it. And the promise I made is I promise to give back and serve. And here we are 12 years later. And I'm now running the plant-based nutrition support group, the biggest and only virtual support group for lifestyle change. And I'm proud of that. I really am. And I wrote an open letter a year ago. And I was just kind of I was frustrated because I'm like, why does it have to be such a struggle? Why can't we just like all, work together? Even like whatever happened in the past, keep it in the past. Everyone starts with a new slate, a clean one, and we just judge from this moment and in the future. And that was kind of the spirit of the open letter, because you never hear the issues with the meat producers or the dairy association. You never hear any infighting or struggling. Why? They're making record profits. They're all doing great. But I'm like, wow, we need to create a union. We need to do this. So we have a voice. And I could not believe when I sent that open letter out, Meryl Fury, my co-founder and my business best friend ever, she within a couple hours said, let's do this. And again, it's one of those things like, hey, you want to change your lifestyle? Sure. Hey, you want to create an alliance and a union? Sure. It was like, why do I keep, it's a lot of work. But along the way, I got to meet great, kind, good people. V. Lynn, Kathleen, Brian, and Janet, and our superstar, Julie. These are some just absolute heroes of mine. And I get to spend every day with Meryl, which it's amazing. She's still upright, It's crazy. But here we are today, and we are presenting and introducing the Sage Circle Alliance. And this is everything that we need. Now, I'm not saying that the people in the whole food plant-based world or the vegan world, at the very tip top, they may not need it because they've got huge followings. They've got a lot of, people who sponsor, donate. I'm talking about that next tier, that like from 10 to 30 or 40 people who do it for all the right reasons. And every day they wake up and it's like, God, I don't know if I could afford it another month. I don't know if I'm making a difference to people. These are kind of things, like I need more resources. I'm not technical. I'm having to do technical things. That's what the Sage Circle Alliance is about. Think of it as a union, an alliance, an association. We'll call it an alliance, where you don't have to struggle anymore. We are here to support you on anything. If you need a health coach, we got it. If you want a doctor, we got it. If you need crowdfunding experts or marketing experts, we got it. If you need IT help, we got it. If you need to talk to somebody, we're here. So that's what this is all about. Now it's up to you. Now it's up to you. Are you in that area that you need some help and some assistance and a friend? If you are, get a hold of us. Okay? Stop struggling. Stop it. It hurts. I know it. I know it. So I just want to welcome everybody, and sorry about the long-winded kind of breakdown of me.
Yeah, it's a great story. I totally get your whole motivation around what you've done over the last 12 years. That's exciting. And I just, as far as the Sage Circle Alliance, share with us your vision of the organization. Where do you see us being in the next 5 years, 10 years from now?
Thriving. Okay. The
Love it.
reason why I say that, because as the founder of the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, pbnsg.org, we've stayed in the lane of human health. I have always believed that if we get the humans right, animals and the planet will follow. But in doing the Sage Circle Alliance, we broadened our market to animal compassion and trying to help our planet become healthier. So all of a sudden, we're not in this little small lane. We're in this much bigger lane of people who are compassionate toward animals, people who worry and care about themselves and their loved ones' health. And everyone on this planet should be worried and concerned about what's going on with Mother Earth. So I'm hoping in 5 years, we're the first place people go to when they want to meet like-minded people who are kind and helpful. 5 years from now, I hope that there's a singular voice that people will listen to that's based on science when we deliver information. 5 years from now, I hope we're totally self-sufficient and we gain sponsors and donations and members. And the one thing that I brought with me from PBNSG over the Sage Circle is I'm admittedly a 1%er, which means I believe that if anybody's ever done anything that was questionable, that I believe that we're humans and we make mistakes. And all we have to do is say, I'm sorry, because I've said it before. And we move on because time's running out. We're getting older. I'm getting older. And we need to make a difference now for the sake of our kids and our grandkids. And we can do this if we band together. So I just, once again, believe that the Sage Circle Alliance 5 years from now will be the place that people could go to find resources that they need to improve themselves, their animals, the planet. And beyond that, I don't know what's beyond 5 years. I know right now we're on a mission of awareness and kindness.
I love that. And, I would add to that education. I
Yes.
know that that's really what PBNSG is about, and how we bring that educational aspect into the Sage Circle Alliance. What do you see as the biggest element of our being able to educate the consumers, the people who are looking for those who are part of this hub alliance of professionals and medical doctors and coaches and, marketers and people who own these vegan businesses, these plant-based vegan businesses? What do you see as far as the education and advocacy that the organization is going to be about?
Well, if you get a chance to look at our membership list, you will see we check the boxes of really smart, educated teachers. And you'll see that on the medical side. You'll see that on the animal compassion side. You'll see it on the planet side. And if nutrition is a part of what we are. What's interesting too is that we have experts in the area of IT, virtual marketing. So these aren't people who said, hey, when they wake up one day, hey, I'm going to call myself the owner of a virtual marketing company. No, these are people who've been in those trenches, walking the walk every day to try and increase marketing for other businesses, and they're successful. So I think that one thing that you'll know, and I appreciate you bringing up the education side, I've always thought that, if you don't know, you can't hold somebody responsible. They just didn't know. But if they do know, then they become what they are, is an adult that makes a decision. And, I may not like it, at least in my family and a few friends that I may have, the decisions they make. I still love them, but I would say that you can make a better decision. But what we're going to do is give people the opportunity to make those decisions based on their knowledge of whatever they need. So, yeah, education's got to play a huge part.
Awesome. And I love how you brought in the whole, animals and the environmental. When I think about what the world will be like in the next 5, 10, 20 years, I think about the space that I'm in right now, and a lot of us like-minded, plant-based vegan entrepreneurs are thinking, we want to leave a legacy that someone can really tap into and keep going, and a positive legacy, a strong legacy. And one of the ways that I know we do that is by doing it in a collective manner, in a collaborative manner. And, I'm going to go personal right now a little bit more and say, what is the legacy that you not only want to leave, but the legacy that you are living right now? I know that you've established these 2 organizations, and that's a lot. That's huge. What is the legacy that you are living right now? When people look at you and say, there's Paul Chatlin, he's the, well, who do they see?
Yeah, well, it's funny is that you see, I've always laughed, and I'm a spiritual person. I'm not really a religious person. But someone once said, Paul, you're like Moses, he did all the heavy lifting, but he never saw the promised land. So that's my job. I'm a grinder. So my thought is simply, we're going to, we've got a place that you could go to learn how to make a lifestyle change not as painful. And if you can make a lifestyle change, oh my God, you're going to be so happy because like I am now 66, and I wake up and I feel like a kid almost most days. I mean, granted, I've been doing a lot of landscaping lately and my hands are a little bit sore. I'm a little sore today. But generally speaking, when I get around all my buddies, what we talk about is, their aches and pains and what pills the new pill they got. I don't have that issue. That's what a lifestyle change has done. But I look at it like every day, like someone has to build that foundation. So we got it on the health side. And what's interesting is I was at a crossroads maybe 5 years into PBNSG, and I wanted to expand. Initially, we were just a pure heart disease organization. But I knew that there were some severe benefits, by making this change for diabetes, obesity. Hey, I lost close to 70 pounds and kept it off. Feel a lot better in my knees, in my hips, and my body thanks me for that. But I decide, but I have a true love of animals. As you could see, the girl of my dreams is right behind me. And I've often said to my wife, don't ever ask me to choose because you might not like the answer. Sophie was my soulmate and I miss her. But I always loved animals. My whole life, I've loved animals. And I've got a deep appreciation of this planet with all its beauty. And I realized that I could, in the 5th year of PBNSG, could I go into the vegan world where we talk about animals and the planet, or do I stay in my lane and just expand in the health area for humans? And I decided to stay in the health for humans because I truly always believe the humans are the ones that are making it tough for animals and the planet. Let's get them right. Everything will flow from it.
Mm-hmm.
But what the Sage Circle Alliance has allowed me to do is get into the 2 other sectors that I've only, dreamt about doing. So I'm just putting in the work. That's all I'm doing. And, there is a timeline, like I have a timeline in my head to, like, if it's set up, like PBNSG is rocking and rolling and doing just fine. So, there has to be a time where you pass the baton to the next generation. And I'm working on that. I'm not saying I'm going or anything like that, but I think part of building is giving. in handing it off.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm working on. I'm working on building both organizations strong with a great foundation. I think both of them have it, and then to grow it. And then when you get to a point, then you need to pass the baton to that next
Mm-hmm.
generation.
That exit strategy, that personal exit strategy is key to success. And I want everybody to know that what we're doing today, and we're about to welcome Dr. Will Tuttle, we are actually focusing on the new membership level charter member that is open right now, so that if you are someone in this plant-based vegan entrepreneur business owner, whether you own a real estate firm and you're an entrepreneur, or whatever it is, to help us to further this movement, further this message, we want you to know that we are the hub that not only supports you in building your business even further, but you support us in the fact that you're part of this collaborative that will help elevate the conversation so that we can make a bigger difference in the world. And with that being said, you can go to our website, sagecirclealliance.org. You will find several join buttons on the website. Check it out, look it over, and find where you fit. When you hit that join button, you'll see the different levels of membership. Find where you fit, make the commitment. It's very affordable. Those are annual plans, and when you click which one you want, you can even see that there are payment options. So, if you're concerned about making an initial outlay that's bigger than you want to right now, look at the other options that are there. We wanted to make sure that there was no barrier to entry for any plant-based vegan entrepreneur or someone in this space who is doing the work to give back to their people, but they want more reach. They want more opportunity to be seen and heard. And that's what's happening here in the Sage Circle Alliance. So welcome, Dr. Tuttle. It's so great to see you today.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks so much, Velin and Paul. Yeah, here we are. Thanks.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, Will, I'm so honored, and I got 20 minutes, Will, with you, and I want to use it wisely. I've got some questions I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. If you could indulge me for a little bit, okay?
All right.
All right, appreciate that. So first, let me let you know something. I just mentioned it to Velin. 5 years into the plant-based nutrition support group, I was at a precipice of deciding, do I go into animal compassion and the planet, or stick with expanding to obesity, diabetes, other modalities as an organization? And I thought the safest route, because this was kind of still 4 or 5 years into it, I was learning on the job, I better stay in the health world. So what excites me so much is that now, through the Sage Circle Alliance, I'm finally getting the thing I wanted the most, which is I want to, gear my time to human health always. But now I get to look at animal compassion and our beautiful Mother Earth. And I remember, Will, the first time I met you was down in Bonita Springs, and you were about ready to give a talk. You gave a beautiful, wonderful talk, but you had so many followers. I was just one in line, to say hello to you. And here we are together today. So I'm personally honored. And I hope you feel that way at the end of a couple questions I want to ask you. Here we go. All right. First, what's your favorite animal movie?
My favorite animal movie is maybe, I really loved the Babe movie. I mean, there was 2 of them, I think, but that, with James Cromwell, I think his name is, he's such a great, he wasn't even an animal rights activist at all. He was just an actor, but doing the movie Babe, he worked with these little pigs, and he really became enamored really with these beings, and saw them as beings, not as bacon, as they say, and went vegan and became really not just a vegan, but an animal rights activist. And I remember way back, probably it was right after Babe came out, a few years later, in the 90s, I was at the animal rights, presenting at the Animal Rights Conference in Washington, D.C., like I did every year. And he was there speaking, and we had a big protest at McDonald's as part of our animal rights conference that year. And he was right in the front of the protest and got thrown in jail. and Howard Lyman was giving a talk, and I guess he got out of jail. They let him out on bail or something. And he came walking in this hall with like 500 people or whatever it was, and he came in the back door, and Howard saw him. Howard was up on the stage, and Howard said, "Oh, here comes Jailhouse Jimmy." and he came in, and it's really a beautiful thing to see people who are so touched by the plight of animals that they're really willing to sacrifice something, and the good news, of course, is that when we move away from animal agriculture, when we move away from eating animal foods, it is a lot better for our physical health. That's a win-win, right? I mean, it's like great, but when we think of that we're liberating these beautiful beings, they're just, you have that picture of a dog behind you. That could be a little pig, right? I mean, that could be a cow or a chicken or any other animal, and we're liberating them. I mean, we're rescuing them. This is the most noble action a human being, like Jesus said, there's no greater love than you give your life for your friends, right? You do something to help others, compassion. And I think that when we start to engage that motivation, but I think it really should be in alignment and together with the health component as well. They really support each other. And one thing I've seen, either one by itself, it loses effectiveness. People that are only concerned about their health and really don't care at all about animals, they tend very often to go back to eating a little bit of meat, a little dairy, a little egg. And people who are really can't care about animals, but they don't care about their health, a lot of times they end up going back to eating animal foods too, because they just eat this junk vegan food, which is not healthy, and they start feeling terrible. So it's really important to bring them both together, I think.
All right. No, I appreciate that. And, I want to say this to you. It's funny. I kind of personally always said that dogs and cats won the life's lottery. We love our cats. We love our dogs. And what would have happened if it was like a pig and a sheep or a goat or something else that were our house animals, and we'd be eating dogs and cats? It's like, the dogs don't realize, and cats, like how great they have it. But I have this picture behind me because I want to, she taught me what pure love was. Like I have loved in my life, but I've never loved so purely as I did with my dog, Sophie. Every day she was on this planet, I loved her, and she loved me. You could see it in her eyes right there. All right. Let me ask you, what you wake up, what gets you going every morning? I'm curious, what is it that gets you going every day?
For me, what gets me going, I would say, is the spiritual path of liberation for the benefit of all beings. And it's I think there's nothing more important, at least for me, than to realize that veganism is a spiritual path. It's not merely a health or social justice or environmental movement. It's really about awakening spiritually and as an individual, and to contribute to that for others. And so that's what's gotten me up in the morning for the last 50 years. I went to college back in the early 70s, and I started reading books on spirituality in a way that it was really starting to make a difference. Like I started meditating and doing yoga and all this stuff, and reading not only Christian books, which I found suddenly became more interesting, but especially books on Zen and Eastern religion. And so I actually left home right after college and just gave up my life. I just wanted to attain enlightenment. And my brother and I tried to walk all the way from Massachusetts to California with no money, just walk and meditate. And we just like Jesus said, or like the great sages of India said, don't worry about your outer life, just wake up. Because if you're living a life of delusion, you're not happy. Nobody's happy when we're deluded and deceived and we're in ignorance. And I wasn't a vegetarian or anything. I just wanted to wake up, but I still have that same flame. I mean, there's nothing more important than our spiritual unfoldment, because that's really the only way we can authentically help anybody. If I'm still in this delusion of trying to promote a mask, like this is who I am, and I hope you like me, as this fundamentally separate self. And then I think, well, I'm a vegan. I'm really good. I'm better than everybody else because I'm a vegan. I mean, it just creates a whole movement that's pretty toxic. So I think the spiritual path, that's it. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful and more inspiring than awakening to our true nature beyond being a physical body, right? We're raised in a society of materialism where we're deceived from the time we're born that this is what we are, this body, with it, whatever it is. And when we identify just with the body, then we're afraid, and then we want things, then we're fighting with everybody else. We're all competing. We're all in this delusion. So we have to realize we're consciousness. We're eternal consciousness that was never born and will never die. And we function for a few short years, a few short decades through a vehicle, just like a dog and a cat and a cow and a human. We're all functioning through a vehicle. And to connect with the consciousness of another, that's what love is. That's what liberation is. And to get beyond the idea of materialism, animal agriculture enslaves us because it reduces our consciousness to being matter, to just this. And we buy and sell beings by the pound. There's nothing more deceptive and deluded than that. And so it's really awakening out of that. And so if I can help others along the way, that's really the path, I think, is combining the inner awakening with then finding a way to share this with other people that is somehow effective. But the only way it's effective is if I'm living it, right? I mean, that's the key to everything. We can't fake it. We have to actually do the inner work of connecting with inner silence. I think silence is the great power that most people never connect with. We're anything but being quiet, right? Anything but that. We're always busy. We're trying to do things. But inner silence, so I get up in the morning and I have 3 hours of just inner work. I don't do anything. And that's what I get up for. And then after that, my day unfolds.
I appreciate that very much. It's interesting. Lynn earlier asked me, like, who am I? What's my purpose? In regards to work in the plant-based nutrition support group, like what drives, and my answer was, and it's maybe quite similar in that I kind of look at it like, and I use the biblical piece of how Moses, did all the hard, heavy work, but never saw the promised land. And, I don't know what he felt like, if you believe all the things that, about Moses. But me personally, I revel in the idea of doing all the hard work and doing all the grindy work, and doing the foundational work, because this is a forever. For me, this is forever. It's not my forever. It's forever. So if I could build it properly, and I don't have the ego, like I know I'm not going to see the end result. I knew that the day I started. I just knew that it had to be done. And someone had to do it. And there are people like Will Tuttle and Paul Chatlin on this world, that are willing to do the heavy lifting, not getting anything monetary, anything. I like it when I just feel as if I'm getting to somebody, like I'm making a difference to somebody. So I get that. And then I wanted to ask you, Will, you've been doing this for a lot longer than I have, but are you satisfied with where you are right now? I mean, we all want more, but I know that it's ebbs and flows in life, and as long as you and I wake up and you and I feel we want to help and there are people who need help or want to listen, I'm good. But do you feel like you're about where you should be?
Thank you. It's a great question. I mean, it's a very personal question, and it's a good one. I like it. I think, on one level, I'm a mystery, really, to myself. I mean, life is a mystery, and what, like the question of what am I anyway? I mean, what is this? That we're born here and we get wounded, and we get knocked down a lot, and then we spend time healing those wounds, awakening out of the delusion. I'm satisfied in the sense that I feel that I've made some progress, and that I'm doing my best to make progress every day. But I'm not satisfied in the sense that I'm very aware I'm definitely not there. And I'm also not satisfied with it in the sense that it feels like our movement, the vegan movement, has such a long way to go in liberating animals. I mean, the animals are really far from liberated. And I think in many ways, humanity itself is far from liberated. So I just that's what drove me in a way to write this new book, which just got released last week, called Food for Freedom, just to show how human freedom or liberation and animal liberation are just completely intertwined. And so I think it's good though to not be satisfied. Right? I mean, there's a saying in the spiritual tradition, a phrase, divine discontent. It's important. I mean, we shouldn't be contented in the sense with where we're at, because that leads to death, to apathy or something. So the idea is that that there is something within me that is yearning always to learn more and grow more and contribute more skillfully and so forth. But there's also this paradox of being contented with just where everything is, because this is it. This is it right now, and I'm totally fine with it, whatever it is. I mean, I know there's suffering of others and so forth, but part of that suffering of others is me doing the best I can with my partner Madeline and with you, and together as a movement and people, do the best we can to help relieve that suffering. And I'm kind of marinated in the Eastern tradition of multiple lifetimes. I mean, I'm so marinated in that. So to me, this is like one lifetime is like a day, out of hundreds of thousands of days. And in this lifetime, I took on this form for a few decades, and in the next one, it'll be another form. And so this is a tiny, a tiny little act in a big movie, really.
I'd love to, if I may, I'd
please.
love to ask you just one question that kind of furthers that thought. But as it relates to the Sage Circle Alliance, what was your motivation for becoming a founding member of Sage Circle Alliance? I love what you said about, where you are in life today, and that, as far as what you're contributing, you're good with that. And there was a reason that you said yes to this SCA. Tell us about that.
Well, it was just, mainly I think it was the people. I mean, I met Julie in Columbus when we were on a lecture tour. We were on a 5-month lecture tour. We gave over 100 presentations in 5 months, and she was at one of them, or a couple of them, and she talked about it. And I really liked her enthusiasm and her sense of respect. And then I met Meryl and Paul, and of course I know you already, Velin and Kathleen. And I just thought, these are good people. I mean, good quality, caring people who I have a resonant with their sincerity on the whole thing. And my wife Madeline and I, we live our lives to veganize the world, right? I mean, that's what we're here for, to try to bring the message of animal liberation to the world. And so, as I don't know that much about Sage Circle Alliance, but I had what I learned about it so far a little bit. I'm just still learning. Is that it's an attempt to just bring people together in a way to help overcome the divisiveness that has invaded and plagued our movement more than ever in the last 5 years or so. And to help get the vegan message out to more people, like to support each other in that. I really respect your vegan visibility work. The idea, I was telling that to Madeline, how, you guys love the vegan message, but it's like not something we want to keep to ourselves. This is something that we yearn to expand. And I think that's a healthy yearning. It's a healthy yearning, not to do it for my own benefit, but for the benefit of animals, for the benefit of people and future generations. And so why not? I think if it has a pure motivation, then we can get on board and do our best to work together for this. Because what else are we going to do? We're on this earth for a few decades. We got to do something. And I think we're here to act and to be proactive and create something, something that can go as a legacy into the future to help others.
Thank you for that. That was amazing and ties totally into what our subject was for today about building community and taking action. And Paul, any last words that you want to share as we're wrapping things up? And then Dr. Will give you an opportunity as well.
I appreciate that. For me, this is, I feel kind of humbly honored, Will, to actually have some one-on-one or two-on-one time with you. It's interesting. I'm a learning seeker. Unfortunately, I forget half the things I learn, and thank God I have a beautiful wife who reminds me, and a notepad and other. but it's interesting how we both share how we look at things, knowing that you're right. I look at it now like, hey, I only got so many good years ahead of me. And, my challenge is to find something like me and somebody 10, 20, 30 years younger, and work with that person so I could let go, never leave, but just let go of my day to day to do other things. But I just want you to know that, I've always respected your work. My love of animals has been inside me my whole life. And because, it's funny, I remember as a kid going to a farm, and all the animals loved me. They were all happy. They all wagged their tail and they licked me, and they were kind. They weren't growling at me. They were happy. And I realized right there, what am I doing? Eating this stuff. No. But then all of a sudden, it's like probably all of us. I was in the corporate rat race. I don't like using animal rat race. But I was a family guy. I had 3 sons and a wife. I had to earn a living. So to do that, I was traveling and doing things, and I never lost sight of loving the animal, but I lost sight of what was most important to me. And I'm glad I found it, 15 years ago or so. And I just want to say, you made me think about things, Will, that I hadn't spent more time thinking about, which is, we're just here for a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put my head around multiple lifetimes. I'll get back with you on that one. But what I can say is, you do your best. I honestly will tell you, I wake up and I do my best every day. And listen, there are people around me that don't get my best that I love, because I'm doing my best on what I'm doing today, right now. So it's a choice. We all make choices. And I just want to say thank you. And I'm gonna take off. So I would like you and V. Lynn to wrap it up. But Will, I want you coming back. And when you do, I want to keep hanging out with you, because I'm going to come up with some other questions that people don't ask you. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you all.
Okay, Paul. Thank you.
My pleasure. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So, what are your closing thoughts here?
Right. Well, it's just in a nutshell. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and thank you so much, Phelan and Kathleen, for your work, and Paul and Meryl. And I think, and everyone whoever watches this, that just that idea, I guess, that our life is precious because of the transiency. We all know that, right? I mean, a sunset or a rainbow or a flower, whatever is precious and beautiful is transient, and our lives are the same way. And so we come here to this earth. It takes us quite a while usually to figure out what's really going on. And I think once we begin to understand what I've been trying to explain to people also, and understand myself better, that the driving fury behind virtually all of the problems that we're having, the wars and the injustice and the disease and so forth, is this hidden, spinning, really diabolical treatment of millions of animals that we just take for granted. We need to really understand that and do our best to shine light on that, and to allow that to just stop happening, to really awaken humanity to that this is no longer an option. And anything we can do to help in that in a positive way, I think, is a great contribution for the time we're here on this earth, to just use all of our skills and abilities and talents and energy in that direction, and it will be a life well spent, for sure.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And on that note, Kathleen and I co-host the Veganpreneur Revolution podcast, and would love to be in that conversation with you on our podcast. And the Sage Circle Alliance has a podcast, Sage Talk for Wicked Problems. This is a wicked problem that needs more conversation around it. So would love to also invite you to be a guest on that podcast as well, to really go deeper into this conversation, because I'm like Paul. I had a pet, I've had pets, and I started my plant-based vegan journey as a plant-based person. I was looking at the health aspects and needed more plants in my life. And I was one who actually said, I don't even want to call myself vegan. The vegans that I had been introduced to, that I had seen, that were prominent, across my screen, were not the kind of vegans that I thought I wanted to be. But I didn't understand the compassion aspect. I didn't understand the spirituality aspect. I didn't understand ahimsa. And as I started doing more and learning more, that becoming more well known to me, I was like, oh, but I am vegan, right?
Right.
And so it really told me too that there needed to be part of the conversation about reframing what a lot of people think veganism is. And even the vegans who think that, saving the animals is what they're here for, but the health side goes by the wayside, they need also to understand that being a junk food vegan is, honestly, in my opinion, just as bad as being someone who eats meat and dairy. And so we've got a lot of work ahead of us. I love the fact that you are such a voice in this space. I want to say thank you for joining us today in our membership drive. I want to speak to our audience just a moment to say charter membership is open. Join us. Go to the website, sagecirclealliance.org. Find your place. It's all about connecting, collaborating, adding your voice to amplify the voices, and we can do even more. I was telling somebody the other day that wouldn't it be great for us to do something like what PCRM did with the Ditch Milk campaign? And maybe even in DC, just do the same thing, have the billboards and the commercials and the signs on the side of the buses saying something like, get the medicine commercials off of TV, or, save more animals. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? I think that is something that being active in the Sage Circle Alliance, we have the opportunity to do. So
Right.
Again, thank you so much for being here today. So
Thank you
appreciate
so much, Velin. Thank you. Yeah. Great.
it. We'll see you soon.
Definitely. Great.
Okay. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Mm.